saw Aishwarya Rai's can look, and I don't really want to talk about it much, but we saw the black and gold and even the silver and the blue gown that she was wearing. And I don't want to share any personal opinions here, but like the first person to be blamed was her stylist. Now, is a stylist that important? And do only celebrities have it, or anybody and everybody can have a stylist in today's world? We are going to find out all about styling and fashion from Bharat, who is with us today. Hi, Bharat.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well.
Okay, how have you styled yourself today? We saw some lovely shots of you entering. So please explain.
It's 100 degrees in Delhi, so
Yeah.
I'm wearing like something which is extra baggy, and I'm wearing a denim on denim look. I love denim, and this is actually an extra large shirt dress, which I wear as a loose fit, oversized thing for myself.
Lovely. I think you look awesome today.
Thank you.
And, I just want to ask this quickly. What does it mean to be a stylist today in India, like in 2024?
We're at a stage in our country and the world over where everyone has a lot of doors open. And there were it was a very clear demarcation between who is the maker and producer of fashion and who's the consumer of fashion. With the advent of social media, now everyone is the producer and
Mhm.
everyone at the same time is the consumer. So it's become difficult because for people who are genuinely in the profession as stylists, everyone claims to be a stylist themselves. So,
Hmm.
the lines are very blurred between who is just creating content, which depicts their personal style, and who is a stylist as a profession.
Hmm.
But because the opportunities are so many, so the younger kids who are coming in, they have a lot of opportunities to get into this profession. Everyone is a celebrity today, so someone is styling someone or the other. So I think it's a good time to be in this profession. I loved it back in the day when there was a handful of us, so it was more focused. The creativity was more driven towards the project instead of what is going to be a gimmick on social media.
Mm-hmm.
But everything has its pros and cons.
True. When you said that everybody is a producer now, I totally agree with that. Do you think that anybody is actually taking tips from people who are creating content on styling?
Um, you know, Social media as a platform is giving a voice to everyone, right? Because it's your personal profile
Hmm.
where you can post anything that you want to, and then you open doors to whoever is on the app to consume that content that you're putting out. So, for a content creator, I don't think that they need professional guidance or they need that technical know-how because they are just expressing themselves.
Hmm.
And then you leave it to the consumers whether the content is great and they're consuming something which is of quality, or the content is cringe or crass and it's still selling, and people are still accepting it. So when we're in the profession of styling, then of course there needs to be a seriousness attached to it. There needs to
Hmm.
be a format that we sort of follow, even when the lines are so blur between what we do, but it is still defined. Whereas
Hmm.
for content creators, I think it is just a form of self expression, and the purpose is not the larger picture, but the purpose is more driven towards followers and likes and getting more brands who believe in their content to come on board, and then it becomes a money game.
That was a great answer. I mean, it clarified like doubts in my head also because I was always wondering about this question. Anyway, what are some of the biggest fashion styling mistakes that people are making today?
You know, if this question was asked to me about 5 years back or 7 years back, the answer would have been that a lot of people blindly follow trends.
Hmm.
When they see a trend come into play, whether it's driven by the bigger designers or fashion weeks or fashion houses, or it's driven by celebrities who are better known from a macro level into a micro level. Let's assume when Ranveer Singh came in with his eccentric and quirky clothing of prince on prince, and everyone started wearing it, whether it matched their personality or not. So at that time, I would have said that. Today, what has happened is that it's quite the opposite,
Hmm.
where everyone, in the name of fashion and in the name of style, is just wearing anything,
Hmm.
which is not so visually appealing and which a lot of times doesn't even make sense. So, just because you've been given the freedom today, I think freedom also comes with a sense of responsibility. So, I still feel that there are segments where you need to dress appropriately for certain events, occasions, purposes, audience. While there are a lot of doors that are open for you to dress the way you want to,
Hmm.
there are certain purposes where you need to be controlled. And that's what fashion is, that's what style is. Understanding the purpose of clothing, apparel, and beyond, and placing it in the right place where, as in where it's required.
My God, I wear socks and sliders half the time. Am I making a styling
No, no,
mistake?
that I think is a trend that's worked.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it really works for me and it's
Yeah.
so comfortable. Okay, let's dive right into like your styling journey and how has it been for you? How long has it been for you? What all have you faced like in this whole area? We want to know about it all.
So mine was a transition from a lot of different fields because I did an honors degree in economics from Delhi University, and then I moved to Bombay and I did a master's in journalism and PR. And I used to dance with Shamak Davar at the time, and
Oh,
he
lovely.
actually drove me to move to Bombay, and I became his publicist and manager, and I did that for 7 years. And that's when, I was introduced to cinema and entertainment and stage shows firsthand. During that phase, Shamak did Rabne Banadi Jodi and Jaga Jasoos, and he, of course, used to do a lot of IFA awards, Filmfare Awards. So the interaction increased. And I think he also knew that I enjoyed fashion. So
Hmm.
whenever, costumes would come into play, I would always enjoy sitting in those meetings. And Shamak did a show called Selkuth where Anaita took a bunch of those dancers in their costumes for one of her Vogue shoots. And I
Oh.
think that was my first hand interaction with fashion. And while I loved it all along, I come with a family that's heavily into fashion, but I was in a professional setup. It was my first interaction. I was like, wow, this is what I want to do, and this is my larger goal. And after one of the IFA awards, I saw, Shalina styling Deepika or Ami styling Priyanka. And then I was like, this excites me. And I came in and I put in my papers, and overnight I switched. So that's how it sort of started. And because I was in entertainment for about 8 years, I already knew a lot of people.
Hmm.
So it was just a switch of profession, and it took like a year of gearing from this into that, and that transition happened. But since then, it's been fun. So the most exciting story would actually be that Shamak used to do Miss India. So the celebrity used to dance at Miss India, and I was managing him at the time. And I remember I had performed as his troupe as a backup dancer at Miss India, and in 2 years of that, I was styling Miss India's, and I was the fashion director for Harnas, who ended up winning Miss Universe. So
Whoa.
that was sort of like
Kudos to
a
you.
yeah, that was like a full circle of being on the other side to being on the fashion side of things.
Wow, lovely. That's a great journey. So I just want to know that because you style like so many different people, and I'm pretty sure so many different events and occasions. So how do you differentiate? Ki, for this it should be this, or how do you keep your ideas fresh and ongoing and different? Like, is there any source that you use or materials that you read, or like how do you really ideate the whole concept?
The most important thing is to understand the person or the purpose that you're styling for. This is where I feel today a lot of styling pictures that you see or stylized pictures that you see don't make sense to you on the person, because a lot of times it becomes the access to designers that stylists have in pushing for that outfit,
Hmm.
or just their personal vision sort of imposed onto the person that they're styling. The most successful stylists are people who actually understand the personality of their client, and then they curate a wardrobe which is or looks which are specific to that particular person.
Personality.
Yeah. So for me, it's always that, when recently when I styled Arjun Rampal, who comes from a modeling background.
Hmm.
So he has a very good sense of fashion himself. So it made no sense for me to put bling on him, or me to, make him look like a circus clown where a lot of like these male celebrities look like, with a lot of bling on them, because that's not him. He has a very clean sense of aesthetic, which he was very clear on, and that's what we styled him in. And just because you're hired as a stylist for someone doesn't mean that you need to layer them with 10,000 things. Even a basic denim jacket, a good pair of jeans, and a shirt, if it's for a press interview, let's suppose, is better than someone going in. There are actresses who go in gowns for interviews.
Yeah.
So, then just because, two things need to make sense: the purpose of it, the person wearing it, and then the look is successful.
Yeah, I know there are so many who wear like really short dresses and they come and they can't sit, and it's
Right,
become such a struggle.
right.
So it's very important, like, to decode the personality, to understand, and then create concepts for them.
Correct.
Absolutely. We have spoken so much about the entertainment industry in a fashion podcast. Do you think entertainment and fashion go hand in hand?
I moved from Bombay to Delhi, though I still keep traveling to Bombay, is contradictory to what you said right now, because in India, Bollywood is perceived as the stronghold on anything.
Hmm.
If an actor wears a vest, it's assumed people are going to buy it. If an actress drinks a mango drink and a drop of it falls on her lip, they assume it's going to sell. You
Hmm.
know, while it is great that they have that, I remember back in the day in the 90s, Literal used to launch an ad every year, and they used to pick out a new girl for that particular ad, and that girl would become the face of cinema through the year, which has the likes of Sonali Bendre and Preeti Zinta. Now, today, the moment someone enters into Bollywood, they become brand faces
Hmm.
automatically, because uh, it is understood that that's what's going to get them the market, and therefore the money. What now, the lines are blurred because there is no casting in terms of who fits that character or who fits that particular product, and then the marketability of that product bases a judgment of who have you casted for.
Hmm.
um, so I honestly don't believe that entertainment is necessarily needed in fashion. In our country, it's assumed so.
Yeah.
And we are to blame because we're the consumers of it. Uh, Anyone who's wearing clothes is a consumer of fashion. So, of course, it's not like people in cinema or entertainment are walking around without clothes. So, of course, they are a large part of fashion. They have a huge influence on people. And therefore, it is important for them to be involved in fashion as primarily consumers and influencers rather than producers of fashion. Therefore, I feel that, when you have this inane concept of showstoppers.
I That was the exact thought
Yeah.
in my mind right now, that they are all walking the runway and
And
everything
half of
nowadays.
one, they don't know how to walk, most of them. Two, they come with their tantrums of wanting to select an outfit as a showstopper, where the designer's time and energy gets consumed into figuring out the room for the showstopper, chasing them to come down for their entry, them wanting a space. Models are cramped, 20, 25 models are cramped into a little
Hmm.
space, and the showstopper is given so much importance. Of course, they have that leverage to be able to do it, but that is not the setting where they can demand these things. The hero at a fashion show is the designer. It
Yeah.
is not the hair and makeup artist. It is not the models. It is not the celebrity showstopper for sure. It is the designer, and
And the
unless
clothes.
and the
Yeah.
clothes. Unless you don't respect that, there should be no place for you at a fashion show. If you are an appreciator of fashion, come and sit in the front row and watch it and be dressed in the designer, because that is a place demarcated for you. You make a tamasha out of yourself, when you do these little dance moves. And I saw a video of some actor who did like a somersault or a flip in the out.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
it's a joke. So, you have 20, 25, 30, 35 professional models who make the outfit look great, and then you have this one person who deviates the purpose completely from the designer and the clothes and focuses on themselves, and then the media picks on the eccentricities or quirks of what that celebrity did, and the talking point is not the clothes. So
Hmm.
then what are you getting? Just media eyeballs on someone's random purpose who's just dressed in your clothes.
Yeah.
So we as a community of fashion sort of need to come together and find a solution to this. And I guess the solution is nothingness, because sponsors only come in when there is a name. And then to run a show in these tough times is when you have monies.
Yeah.
So it's a vicious cycle, and we're all sort of trapped in it. And the only one who's winning through this are Bollywood celebrities.
That's the sad truth
Yeah.
and the reality. So, how is it like styling for like a fashion week?
It's the most fun. I think I thrive on the energy at fashion shows and fashion week. When you see the collection that is created by the designer and you see that hope in the eyes, because the purpose of a fashion show is to get buyers in and to have your collection bought by the buyers, and that's where the business sort of starts from. So there's so much hope in that room, and you have beautiful models who sort of line up, and you have so many hopeful models who will come in so that they can get selected to be able to walk for that show. And then it's the synergies between hair and makeup and styling and accessories, and it's a chase. When you do a film, you get multiple takes,
Hmm.
and you get 3 hours to showcase your talent. But for a show, you get literally between 10 to 18 seconds to showcase that outfit, and for the models to showcase their walk, and for us to showcase our styling abilities. And that is what you base your future projects on. So, for us, the time span that you get is very short per look. And that's why our energy is invested into each look is that much more. So, it's chaos, but it's just the most beautiful chaos backstage. And I think everyone who is in any form related to fashion always looks forward to a fashion week, and we will crib and we will bicker and we will
Yeah.
be pulling our hair out. But the moment it's over, the next few days is a sense of hollowness, waiting for the next show of fashion week to sort of come in.
I think the one thing that I really love is like a good set. Like,
Yeah.
if it's all like, I remember I went to one show and it had like a really beautiful set, okay? And I mean, I don't want to name the brand or
Right.
whatever, but it was like so pretty. And then I think that really enhances the styling in the outfits and, everything in that backdrop. And it feels like a wow moment.
Correct. It's
Yeah.
almost like a musical, right?
Yeah.
So, when the show choreographer, show director sort of comes in and they bring the pieces together, each of us plays our part of putting the looks together and picking the model who wears what and which hair or makeup will look nice. And but once it comes on stage, they sort of bring that visual to life with the set, with the
Hmm.
music, with the LED graphics that sort of go on, the movement of either model walking solo or them walking as groups or in duets or whatever. It's sort of like a very well planned and well thought out production,
Hmm.
but the time span that we get to be able to execute it is so short. And therefore, when the output comes out, we're that much more happy because we know that with the limitations, we've been able to pull off
Yeah.
something that had that impact. And then, then we always go back to the designer and ask them how their collection performed.
Hmm.
And it's so nice to know when they know that it's been well received by the audience, because eventually it's their gift to sell,
Yeah.
and we can just help them sort of push that forward.
Lovely. Initially you just talked about that it's like a really good time to enter this world of styling. So, for let's say like a person who wants to make a career out of this, first of all, is it for everyone? Like, what should one identify in themselves? Ki, yeah, okay, this makes me capable for like a role as a stylist. And secondly, what are like some of the good places to acquire these skills from?
I'll tell you what, now, because of social media, the problem is that people are very confused in terms of wanting to become a stylist as a profession or someone who's just wanting to create content, and being enamored by the glamour of being in the industry. So be very clear on that. If Instagram is your game, or if if you're just looking at creating content on yourself, and you're styling yourself, go for it and do that at the luxury of your house or wherever you are, and you can contact brands and designers and sort of create great content, which a lot of people do. But if you're looking at it from a stylist perspective, then you need to have a basic sense of aesthetic. You need to have a basic sense of style. If you've had an education in fashion, in some form of the other, it always helps. It's always nice to start off with a magazine, probably with their
Mm.
editorial team, because a lot of the editorials are concept driven. So it opens you can experiment with your concepts, you see a set in action, and you also get a lot of access to designers,
Mm.
brands, and PRs to that. You can alternatively also start by interning or working for a slightly more established stylist to understand the functionings, because this is a very on the job profession.
Okay.
There It's very limited in terms of theoretical knowledge. It's a lot of practical application of what you do on the spot, what you change, what you figure, what works, what doesn't work. So unless you have a natural sense of aesthetic, it's not like driving. You can't go to driving school and learn it and then drive for the rest of your life. It is a lot within, and you
Got it.
will know it. You will know it whether you're cut out for it or if you're not. And look at it from a longevity perspective. You will know within a year or two how things are going. If they're progressing even at a slow pace, you're cut out for it. But if you know that you're not being able to put your aesthetic in the right
Mm.
sense, and this profession is not cut out for you, there are a lot of alternate professions within fashion today that you can still be in the industry but not as a stylist.
True. This is what I love about fashion. In so many episodes that we've done, I have discovered, including me, that most of the people are not from like a fashion background. Like you said, you did
Right,
economics, I
right.
did political
Oh
science. Okay.
wow.
So
Oh wow.
it's so lovely as a space that you can really learn when you're working.
I'll tell you, the thing is that if as millennials, what I can say is that back in the day, of course, anyone who wanted to get into an alternate field, the right way to do it or the conventional way to do it is to get a conventional
Mm.
degree and then move into that. So you have a backup or you have a safety blanket that you have. Therefore, our generation is more from that school of thought of having studied something else and then
Mm.
eventually gotten into fashion, where we had the support or the guts or the drive to let go of what is cushioned for us
Yeah.
and then move into a space that we love but are is risky or we're unaware of. And therefore the drive is so much more to prove and for validation that we pushed the buck harder. Now I feel over the last 5 7 years, whoever's going to come into the field of fashion will probably be someone who has studied fashion, because parents are more accepting towards
Mm.
fashion as a full-time career
Yeah.
because they see the opportunities. I think people like us who came from elsewhere and gotten into fashion are probably now going to be content creators or influencers who are studying something else, but they have a longing for something else,
Yeah.
and because of an easy access to a phone, and they can start to make content. And if it starts growing, then sky is the limit for them as well.
Got it. Also, I want to talk about this thing. So, you spoke about editorial styling, and then there is celebrity
Right.
styling. So, these are like some different aspects of styling or what you can do. But is there anything, like, is there a styling for like normal people? Like, generally, if somebody wants to hire a stylist, is that also possible in today's time?
So there's lots, of course, there's celebrity styling, there's editorial, the two that you mentioned. Then there's, of course, working as a stylist for a designer, whether it is in store or in their team. Then you work as a fashion stylist where you style for fashion shows and campaigns and lookbooks and catalogs and e-commerce. And then you move into commercial styling, which opens doors for you in print campaigns, digital ads, television commercials, and then further moving into TV shows,
Mm.
OTT, and films. So these are those conventional ones. Then the question that you asked is, then there's a category called personal shoppers. So where there are clients who hire stylists to who help curate their wardrobe, whether they're high up on the corporate ladder and they want to know how to dress as a CEO of a company or how to dress for these corporate dinners and events. And of course, the new big thing is weddings.
Hmm.
So a lot of wedding clients are getting into hiring stylists for not only the bride and groom, but for the family and for the entire trousseau. So they marry the art, the location with the colors that they wear and the bride and the groom. So that's the next thing that's working very well for a lot of stylists as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, this sounds lovely, but I actually did a research and I found out that people are sort of unaware,
Right,
and most of the people don't feel the need to like actually have like a personal stylist, at least for now. Maybe
right,
like in the next 3 4 years this
right,
might change.
right.
So let's see how that goes.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
see, the thing is that I think if someone can understand themselves better, it's always good to go out and shop on your own and think for yourself, because no two people are made the same.
Yeah.
Each person has been designed differently. Therefore, each person's choices will differ. And it's very hard that someone else can tell you what to wear. They can, of course, guide you on what not to wear and what may
Hmm.
not work for you, but I think a sense of personal style will sustain for longer if you do a lot of hit and trials on your own body and on your own self, and then you'll begin to learn. I think what people need to do is let go of fear
Hmm.
of judging themselves on what will look nice and what colors will look nice, and judging themselves on height and body weight and skin types or whatever. When you move beyond these sort of norms that are set, that is when you will actually be free of judgment and then try things and build your own sense of personal style. So
Yeah,
I'd rather hope
absolutely.
for that, for people to develop, than a profession of personal shopping developing.
Makes sense. Tell me a funny story. Like, has something really funny happened, like on a set or when you were maybe styling a celebrity or like, some experience that you have?
Sometimes what ends up happening is that because I'm more fashion driven than celebrity driven in that sense, sometimes I get like a DM saying that, hey, would you be interested in
Mm.
styling? Or actually, that's not how most Bollywood people put it. They generally say that I want you to style me.
Oh,
And
they're like
then
authoritative.
authoritative,
I
yeah,
want you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting with my team and I'm like, oh, this person. They're like, oh wow, are you serious? And I have no idea for some of them. But yeah, in shoots and shows there are lots of fun things that keep happening for me. Models are my family.
Hmm.
And they just come. I'll tell you what I describe a fashion show or a set where a designer campaign or lookbook is happening is a room of dreams, because there is no one on a set where their parents have said, go and become this, whether you
Hmm.
are whether you do music or do lights, or you're a show director, model, stylist, hair and makeup artist, cinematographer, videographer, photographer. No one has had complete family support, or their parents at the age of 13, 14 has said that I want my child to grow up to become this. So everyone who is within that room has fought a battle, has had a struggle of being able to convince their ecosystem to be in that particular space. And therefore, the energies in that room are so light and it's so happy, because everyone is visually seeing each of their dreams come true within that space. And that is why when you come for a fashion show, you will hear yelling, but you will also hear laughing. And it's just a lot of, that's why I said, like, it's a beautiful chaos, because there's so much going on. But everyone has a role to play and everyone is equally important. Therefore, when a Bollywood person comes in, it's not so beautiful anymore, because the because we don't fashion does not like a hero.
Hmm.
Fashion does not have a central character. Fashion has each element which brings the entire production together. So then when suddenly one hero comes in, then it's like a stone in the
Hmm.
ocean. It creates a ripple around. And that's exactly what a showstopper ends up doing backstage in a show.
Got it. Great answer. Okay. What's your dream styling project if I have to ask you one? Where would you want to be?
I'll tell you what, when I started off, I'm not a one big dream person. I like to have little benchmarks, that you keep achieving and creating, having like a little basket in the garden of fashion and getting one flower each. So that's what I've been doing. Um, for me, it's a project, whether it was to do a show at Lakme Fashion Week, or whether to work with the FDCI, or whether it was to find a celebrity who I would like to style, who is not too arrogant or conventional. And I've had like a series of them. So like attracts like, or you sort of affirm. And working with certain designers, whether it is something with sustainability or couture. So it's just these mini goals that I keep setting for myself to eventually be content and happy.
Hmm.
And I think that's better, right? Instead
Yeah.
of strive. So because what happens is that if today I say that my dream is to style X celebrity, or my dream is to style for X designer, then whatever I do during that journey is not going to have that much value to me. I
Hmm.
will keep looking at it. Oh, this is okay, but I want to do that. But I commit myself to everything that I do with equal energy, that this is the best thing that I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And therefore, the output will be the best. And then I move on to the next. So I think it's a very it's this dream, fairy tale dream that we set. And it's a very it's a standard that in schools they make us write that what is your dream when you grow up, or what is your goal when you grow up. So we always long for something which is 10, 20, 30 years ahead of us. uh, but unfortunately we don't, neither do we have a time machine to jump to that, and nor do we have something that numbs us through the 10, 20 years. So we do experience highs and lows, and you don't even know whether you're going to reach that
Hmm.
goal eventually. So that's why every day, every project that I do is a dream for me, because, like I said, we come from a background where fashion wasn't the convention.
Yeah.
So that for me is the biggest dream that I've achieved. I was a 5-year-old kid who started watching Miss India,
Hmm.
because in the 90s, Miss India was big.
Yeah.
We would all watch it when the likes of Sushmita and Lara and Priyanka and Yukta and all of these girls were winning. It was a thing to watch. And I would sit with like a little diary, and whenever they would ask the top 5 and top 10 question, I would write my little answer and read it out to my mom.
Really?
And then, yeah,
How
and then
cute.
cut to styling for them. So, that was an achievement that happened. Attending a fashion show for me was a dream. Uh, and now to imagine that I'm actually working on those fashion weeks and fashion shows, watching Lakshmi and Sonalika and Noina and Dipti and Jessie and Bhavna and all these girls, you're watching them walking at shows, and now to be backstage and actually dressing them, that's a dream come true. Designers like Gudda, Rohit Gandhi, Rahul Khanna, Tarun, Shantanu, all of these, Shantanu Nikhil, Reena Dhaka, all of these people, whose names you would read in
Hmm.
magazines. Now you get a chance to interact with them one on one. Mr. Sethi, who's worked consistently so hard towards fashion, now to be sitting on the same table, discussing projects or discussing work and getting insight into what works and what doesn't work from him. These are milestones that work. That's why I feel that the younger kids who are coming into fashion, um, there is a purpose.
Hmm.
The more you create everyday content for fashion, which is great, you're normalizing it, which is great. But normalcy also accounts for triviality,
Hmm.
and there are people who are working towards a bigger goal in fashion, that starts becoming trivial. There is a purpose for fashion. Like I said, that if you are walking on the road with clothes on your body, if you're not naked on the road, that means you're a consumer of fashion. And that means someone somewhere has thought of something, and a team of people have made that outfit.
Being naked on a carpet is also fashion these days.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's the triviality of it. But yeah, anything in the name of fashion is being used and abused today.
But after you go back, I want you to start writing your book of
I should, right?
motivations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should become the Sadguru of fashion.
Yes. Please. Yeah. You'll be the first of your
Yeah.
kind. Okay, so moving away from styling, uh, Chanel recently had like a cruise show in Marseille
Right.
in France, which is like a beautiful port city, and I would love to go there. Would you love to go there?
Yeah, yeah. Anywhere that this world takes me, why shouldn't we travel?
Yeah, that's true. So, I was reading like the reviews and everything that was coming, and they said like the collection was okay, like it was fine, but like the styling was really bad.
Okay.
Like, that's what I was reading. So, how would you like perceive this, or what are your views on this?
You started off with describing Aishwarya Rai also at Cannes
Yeah, yeah.
and how all the gunshots are targeted towards the stylist. You are working with someone else's body or with someone else's product, and there is that much you can contribute to or say. Eventually, it will be them. Therefore, the pot shots need to be on a collective group
Hmm.
and not a singular department in that sense. There are too many fashion commentators and critics and appreciators today who come from a standpoint of limited access to informed knowledge. Therefore, on social media, when one person says something and you pick on it, it just spreads as viral news.
And
Whether
then all the commentators are
will
talking about
follow
that.
because
Yeah.
again there's uninformed news, right? You're a consumer. So I think to if someone generalizes something saying that this was great and this was horrible and everyone is agreeing to it, that means it's a herd.
Hmm.
But when someone agrees and someone agrees to disagree, that means it's an informed opinion, and therefore you must pay heed to it. Then you do the antics of what worked and what didn't work. But if unanimously everyone says that it wasn't great, that means that there's one person who has the flute in the hand
Hmm.
and the rats are following Pied Piper behind. Therefore, just pay no attention to it.
Okay, fine. Also, the creative director, Virginie Viard, is like exiting
Right.
Chanel, and there's like
There's
a
a
lot.
lot of movement
Yeah, there's a
happening
lot of movement. Okay,
internationally.
that
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like I was also there's like a report of I think McKinsey and all that luxury. The business is sort of like really flimsy right
Flagrant.
now,
Yeah.
and yeah, let's see what happens. So also there's like a lot of discussion on who's gonna be the next creative director
Right.
for Chanel. Who
Right.
do you who do you vouch
Today
for?
I was reading a video shared by a journalist today,
Hmm.
and there are three, and I will tell
Yeah.
you when I know which one.
Yeah.
But one is a female whose name starts with an S. I
Okay.
hope she comes in.
Hmm.
But there is a lot of movement happening. I think a lot of internationally, a lot of markets are going through and went through recession, and of course luxury becomes an immediate victim of it as well. So it's going to settle in. No one is going to, whether it's silent luxury, quiet luxury, or in your face maximalist luxury, the tides of wave will come and recede, but it will come back again. And there will always be people who dress a certain way and who bank on these. I think what will keep these bigger names where they are is with the legacy that they've created,
Hmm.
and whoever takes on these brands as their creative director needs to add a sense of freshness or themselves to an existing luxury. When you do a
Yeah.
360-degree change, then there is no recognizability, and then it's almost like going to a new brand
Hmm.
or a new label or a new designer. So it needs to be them induced into what existed, and that's what makes it beautiful, because there is a particular audience that goes into Chanel or Dior or Versace or Yves Saint Laurent. There are people who go into these brands expecting what they want,
Hmm.
and if they are taken in by a breath of fresh air, it's great.
Yeah.
But if you're going to choke them with that fresh air, they're going to walk out.
Lovely. Okay, so that was the end of our discussions. Now we're going to play like a small mandatory game that we play. So be
Super.
quick about it.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Let's start. You have no option but to choose one, a nosy or a loud neighbor.
A loud neighbor.
Okay,
What if
fine.
I'm sleeping with a neighbor? I'd want them louder.
Oh, God. Okay, which stylist do you think does a fab job according to you? I mean, they all do a fab job, but who's your favorite? Riya Kapoor, Anaita Shroff, or Ami Patel?
Why is Shalina not on this list?
Okay, fine. Let's add.
Shalina. Shalina
Okay.
and Anaita, of course, for being
Hmm.
Anaita, and I think she introduced the concept of styling
Yeah,
into our country as a full-time profession. So, of course, her.
great. Okay. Talking about your ideology, do you prefer a glass half empty or a glass half full?
A glass till it exists.
Okay, great. Okay, if you were not a fashion stylist, would you want to become a food stylist or an interior stylist?
Oh wow, I think interior.
Okay,
Interior for
great.
sure.
Okay, fine. While driving or commuting, do you prefer music or a podcast?
Silence.
You better become a podcast person now.
No, I will. I will. I actually enjoy podcasts, but I like I told you, I danced for so many years. Now I'm so off of music in general that I can have people talking or me talking on the phone, but not music while I'm driving.
Great. But this is the sad truth, but a happy truth for me. I'm a total music person.
Really?
While I'm driving or commuting, it's just music, music,
Oh
music.
wow.
Yeah. Shame that I'm doing a podcast, but yeah. Okay, anyway, so thanks for watching. This was the end of our episode. Please comment, tell us how you found the episode. If you have any more ideas, please let us know on pods@indiatoday.com, or you can text us on 8588 966 996. Thank you, Bharat, for joining us
Thank you.
today,
Thank you
and
so
thank
much.
you. Bye.